Welcome to a day in the life with the 2024 Ford Mustang Mach-E Select. My experience with the Ford Mach-E is a first. Yes, this is my first time using an electric vehicle, and to experience this under the Mustang legacy is kind of interesting. Today I'm gonna be doing a short day trip. This drive will be around 65 kilometers one way, and it'll probably take me about an hour to get there. Before we hit the road, we're gonna grab some coffee, and I'm just gonna park in front of one of my favorite coffee shops in town. Now, I come from a mid-size sedan, so size-wise, this compact crossover SUV is close to the sedan size that I'm used to. It's easy to get in and out of the city and park in tight spots if necessary. And of course, you can do all of this while having extra cargo and passenger space with the SUV. It's basically having best of both worlds. Flat white mission is complete, let's head back in the car. You know, I really like the excitement driving a new car brings. It's like wherever you are, you want to get back in the car. These few days definitely has been a bit of that, especially because there are lots to discover with an EV. Before we hit the road, I do want to visit a car wash because, you know, a clean car drives better. I do want to thank Ford Canada for making this video happen. I won't be keeping this car unless if Ford has a last minute surprise for me. But I get to enjoy this car this week and experiment with it as I wish. And the color we have here is the Rapid Red Metallic. This is actually the historic Mustang Red. And we are equipped with the 19-inch wheels. Alright, now let's hit the road, and today I'll be using Apple CarPlay. Jumping from Apple CarPlay, this car also supports Android Auto, of course. Let's talk about the infotainment system. At the heart of the console, we have a massive 15.5 inches screen. This is the brains of the car, and we'll talk about what this infotainment system contains in a minute. Along with standard automated emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and adaptive cruise control, the Mustang Mach-E also comes with Ford's Blue Cruise hands-free driving tech. And you can operate this feature at 97% of controlled access highways across North America. And when you're not using the hands-free mode, the lane assist comes in handy. I'm finding that Mach-E actually handles pretty sporty. Compared to other SUVs, it's a lot sharper in turns. It of course picks up really quick, and I think the name Mustang has a lot to do with that. We ran into a bit of rain on the way to this town we're visiting today. It should all be cleared out for the rest of the day. Found the parking, just backing in. The parking sensors and the cameras work great. It's pretty easy to park with this car. I was able to find a charging station pretty quick. It was recommended to me to use the PlugShare app, which works great. I mostly, of course, looked for fast charging, but it wasn't available in this town, so I had to settle with a level 2 station today. The Select Edition that I have today has a range of 402 kilometers. Again, this is the standard battery capacity, and this vehicle is a rear-wheel drive. At a level 2 charging station, you're able to charge your battery up to 80% in about 6 hours. And my experiment with a fast charging station was about an hour for the same level of charge. Today's plan is to enjoy the small town named Elora. If you're ever here, be sure to visit this creperie. The Ford Pass app gives you standard controls like locking, unlocking your car, and what's cool because we have an EV is that we can actually check the battery and see the approximate completion time if we want to charge a battery to a certain percentage. This, if you have an EV, is pretty important to have. Like for example, by the time we finished our crepes, we were able to add 39 more kilometers into our range. It looks like I'm gonna charge the car twice today, and towards the end I'm gonna break down the cost for you. Not gonna lie, without experimenting with EVs, I thought charging was kind of complicated. I don't know, it seemed like a big deal, but honestly, it's crazy how fast you adapt to it. And when you start the car, your seat moves forward. That kind of convenience feels luxurious. While looking at the armrests here, let's talk about the interior of the vehicle. Lots of good space in the main console, along with a USB-C and a USB-A port. We also have a wireless charging pad, which it seemed to not work at times. Maybe I was doing something wrong here. I even tried it without a case and no luck at this particular time. It seemed to work a lot of the times. Like I said, maybe I'm doing something wrong. The interior for the most part looks good. The instrument cluster could have been a little larger, especially compared to the 15.5-inch infotainment, and that's a personal opinion. On the other hand, inside door handles are kind of unique and cool. I do really like the carbon fiber finishing that is added throughout the dash. And the leathering, including the door trims, don't feel cheap. They are padded, which is a huge bonus point there. On the driver's side, we have power seat adjustments that can't be seen on the passenger side. That's the case with this trim. And here's a look at the headlamp controls. The Ford Mustang Mach-E blends history and innovation, honoring the legacy of the classic Mustang while introducing cutting-edge EV technology. And this is why it's one of the top-selling EV choice out there today. Now let's take a look at the controls and the infotainment system on the Mach-E. We have the Whisper, Engage, and Unbridled mode. And to understand it better, it's kind of like Eco, Comfort, and Sports mode respectively. And in the controls menu, we can find one pedal mode, Propulsion Sound, which is engine sound through the speakers, as well as Auto Hold. In the next menu, we have straightforward sound settings. You can adjust your treble, mid-range, and bass. And in the next menu I'm going to show you today, we have driver assistance, which in this menu you can set all the safety features of this vehicle. And in the next menu we have extended vehicle settings. There's lots to find here. The general settings menu won't really change your driving experience, but there are things you may want to change in there. Connectivity menu is straightforward. This is where you connect with your phone or reconnect if you've lost connection, which actually never happened to me. And of course, we have software updates. You'll want to keep your car up to date. And on the next menu, we have Ford Assistant, side to side with Amazon Alexa, if you do want to connect to Alexa. And lastly, we have a valet mode, which you may choose to use. The main parameter that I often changed was the drive mode on this car. Other than that, I didn't visit the menus a whole lot. But when it comes to the interface, I didn't run into any bugs. I found the interface reasonably fast, and after a few days, I actually got used to the display size. I feel like a lot of cars have really bad cameras. Even in daytime, I feel like the footage is pretty noisy. It looks like Ford paid attention to this. I really don't mind the quality at all. Now let's dive deep into the body on the Mach-E. My favorite thing about this car is that Ford didn't try to make this car look like an electric car. Honestly, it's a personal opinion. I don't like it when electric vehicles kind of scream like they're electric vehicles. My typical choice with cars is gray or black, but the red started growing on me. But I could also see this car look great in darker colors. And with the body of this car, there are quite a bit of throwbacks to the Ford Mustang brand. And I think that's why Ford kind of made this car look more like a muscle SUV, rather than have it look like an electric car. And I'll be honest, when Ford Mustang Mach-E got released a few years ago, I didn't really understand the Mustang name behind it because this is an electric vehicle. But when you look at the body and the overall experience with the car, there are some connecting pieces. Let's talk about how this car behaves on the road. And actually, why don't we take a look at unbridled driving mode. Man! The Standard Range RWD drive Mach-E gives us 264 horsepower with 387 pound-feet torque. And the Select Edition gets us to 0 to 100 in 5.6 seconds. This of course is a good number for an SUV, especially for an SUV that is in the EV segment. And there's a lot to say about trim levels of this car. The Mach-E can also turn into more of a performance SUV with the GT trim. The weight also plays a big role when it comes to performance. The Select Edition weighs out approximately 4,394 pounds. Among electric SUVs, the Mach-E's weight is typical, aligning well with the other models in this segment. Of course, an SUV often means more comfort. When we look at comfort in driving the Mach-E, the suspension is tuned off for a sporty driving experience, providing responsive handling while maintaining a comfortable ride for daily driving. Even through a bit of a dirt road with a bunch of potholes, my experience was pretty comfortable. If you're into the outdoor lifestyle and do quite a bit of driving through all types of roads, the Mach-E is a good choice. And of course, depending on your needs, you can also opt in for the all-wheel drive version. Keep in mind the standard all-wheel drive gives you less range than the standard rear-wheel drive option. We have a decent amount of trunk space on the Mach-E. With rear seats in the picture, we get about 821 liters, and the seats folded down gives us about 1,691 liters. And the 12-volt outlet is a good bonus. Of course, we also have a front trunk that has a capacity of 133 liters. To give you a reference, I've placed a backpack that is 25 liters in there. The combination of a spacious rear cargo area, a practical front trunk, and a range of convenient features makes the 2024 Mach-E well suited for a variety of needs, from daily errands to weekend adventures. Backseat passengers will also enjoy the Mach-E. Seating is comfortable with this car, and the back section does experience that as well. And as for the tech features, we have 2 USB-C ports in the back. This EV experience has been a bit of a transition for me. Whenever I want to go somewhere a little far, I do have to think about my range and charging times. Day-to-day use of an EV is extremely budget-friendly, but you do have to have a lifestyle that you can fit an EV into, like having the ability to charge in your home. Ford's EV sales are actually climbing up, and Mach-E is leading the race for Ford. And here's a price list of the Mach-E lineup. The Select version comes in at $54,168, the Premium at $57,848, followed by the GT at $67,968. I'll tell you how much I spent and how many kilometers I've got. The first charge gave me 41 kilometers, and the second charge gave me 10 kilometers. So that is 9% and 2% respectively. The total cost of that is $3.06. We left home at about a little over 200 kilometers. We're now back home with 182 kilometers left to go. So I kind of charged my trip today, that's it. We didn't really add anything to it, but that was the cost of the entire trip for me. Now wrapping up and heading back in the city, and I'm gonna be topping off my battery tonight. Just making a quick stop at the grocery store, I gotta get a few things. And of course, I forgot all of my reusable bags in my personal car. Spent a couple hours at home, now I'm gonna head over to the gym. Driving through the city streets, the adaptive headlights ensure clear visibility and sense of security. And inside, the ambient lighting creates a focused atmosphere, setting a good tone for a night drive. Arriving at the gym, the Mach-E's sleek design stands out in the parking lot. I don't know, there's just something that is so Mustang about it. This car is a perfect blend of style and high tech, making even a routine trip to the gym something to look forward to. Gym session complete. Now I'm gonna enjoy a late night drive to a charger near my apartment. Like I said, this is something that you have to adapt your lifestyle into. But you know, the good thing is that EV charging stations are increasing every year. So I don't have a charger in my building, at least in my parking spot. So I'm just gonna charge a little bit here. This is the city hall. I live pretty close to it, so I'm just charging here. It's a pretty slow charger, but I'm just gonna get it going, and then I'm gonna take it into my garage, and then I'll charge the car tomorrow at a fast charging station. This one is gonna be pretty slow, but it is what it is. This was a look at 2024 Ford Mustang Mach-E Select Edition. I tried to put this car into my daily life. I really like how this car behaves on the road, especially its ability to pick up speed. Even the Select base model is loaded with a bunch of tech. It's good to know that we're not running into a bunch of limitations with the Select model. One thing that I wish for, of course, is better range. But hey, who wouldn't wish that? The more range, the better. But compared to electric vehicles on the same segment, the Mach-E does compete fairly when it comes to range. And that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching my 2024 Ford Mustang Mach-E Day in the Life video. As always, it has been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one.